Hey, good day, everyone. On screen with me for our Big West Women's Volleyball preview. It's exciting. 2025 is right here, knocking on the door. Is CSUN head coach Aquiles Montoya in his second season. Great to have you on, Aquiles.
Yeah, really excited to be here. A couple days of practice. The excitement is through the roof for Big West Volleyball.
All right, I know that the first season was smooth, right? So I've got to ask you, how was it? And what did you learn after one season of coaching the Matadors?
Yeah, big thing for me was, an accumulation of talent. It does not always equate winning, especially in this great conference with so many great teams, great atmospheres, and great coaches. We needed some time, and I was really proud to see our team kind of battle. But now it's so exciting to watch the cohesive group that we have right now. And I think that we'll be able to, win a lot more of those closer sets. But man, I always had high standards and high thoughts of the Big West, but you don't really know until you're in it and then how much of a good time it was.
Well, what are your key takeaways after that 2024 season when you look at the athletes you had that you're working with and versus what you'd known before coming into the Matador job?
Yeah, I think, winning is really hard. A lot of people that I've talked to, they were happy and they saw the progress of what we did last year. But it's just sometimes you just need to learn how to win. And so ultimately, it reminds me a lot of what we did, during my time at Portland State. I thought we had a really good team my first year, and there were some struggles, but we got to return a lot of them. And now they understood what it was like to play with each other, understand each other. And so I think this year with so many returners, we're excited to kind of make that step, and they're hungry. They know they let some slip through their fingers. And I think that's why they will be a really dangerous team this year.
Well, you were saying you've had a few days of practice, Ray, underneath your belt, and also you've seen some of the girls during the spring season. Yeah. But based on what you've got so far, how's the competition been inside the Matador gym?
It's good. It's really tough. And I think because there's, we essentially have 15 returners, and we had them all during spring. And our 3 incoming freshmen, I think will make some big splashes this year within our starting lineup or, coming off, reserves. And so I just think we're just getting bigger, we're stronger, we're faster. Our strength training room is doing that as well and helping us, athletic training, nutrition. And they just kind of have more of an understanding of me, my staff, and we also have a better understanding of each other because we were all new to working with each other, both the team and the staff. So it's been a really, really fun first couple days of practice. I'm really, really happy about what I'm seeing. They have sharpened some things, as all coaches will tell you, but I just love to see how comfortable they are and passionate they are to play with each other right now.
Well, with that, you'd mentioned it in your previous response, but I wanted to focus in on it because there's not a lot of other coaches who can boast they've got their entire team back. You only had 3 losses to your roster. Mm-hmm. Everyone else is in a rebuild, reload phase, whereas you get to continue to work you've been doing. How does that feel being a head coach, being able to just do that?
Yeah, we're really spoiled. We're really lucky. Our players know it. Our staff has talked about it. We're doing a good job of still making sure that we're going through everything, all the technical skills, our standards, what we do here, even though most of them know it. It's just really good to review those things and hammer those in. And I think our players are really enjoying it. Going over drills and how they work and operate is taking about half the time when I was a brand new coach to all these players. And I think it allows us to play earlier and more with each other because we still firmly believe the best teacher of the game is the game. And so we're spending a lot of our time playing 6-on-6 right now and really fast. So I'm super excited about it, but we know we are so lucky and our players realize it. And I think the goal is to take advantage of this really big advantage that we have with so many returning from last year.
Yeah, excellent. Who in your eyes, though, are your key returners going to be in 2025? I know you got a lot of people coming back, but if you can focus on a few, like let's say I'm your everyday fan walking in off the street, who am I supposed to be watching out for on the Matadors?
Oof, yeah, I think it's really hard to not immediately find Leah Miller. She is our big, strong, physical lefty. We try to run a pretty fast tempo to her. And the combination of that fast tempo and her physicality really helps us out a ton. And so I think a lot of people find her. We got a new libero that came in, freshman Sanaya, and she's been killing it. But I think a lot of people, when they watched us, they loved both of our liberos. Paige Sentis spent most of the year, I'm pretty sure, leading the Big West in digs per set. I think ended up second or third. And then the other one that people just love to watch is Autumn. And so it makes it really hard when we have three players that I think are worthy within their careers of being a starting libero, running all over the floor. But, Paige, spent the whole year starting for us at libero. But the funny thing to me was that Autumn is such a character. And when she plays DS, she's primarily playing the 3-row DS for us, that almost everyone, when they would come talk to me after a match or they say, that one, we like her. And it was Autumn. She's so fun throwing her body around. She does like the black bangs and like the double buns. She's an awesome character, and her story's amazing as well. So we have a bunch returning. I mean, Tatiana Turgeon's a great story. EA Okolo, Katie Kolar, Haley Brockway, Amaris. There are other reserves that I'm probably forgetting, but I'm just such a big fan of this team, and I'm really excited to return a lot of those faces for those that started falling in love with us last year.
Well, actually, it's a great segue because one of the athletes I was hoping you'd mention is Tatiana Turgeon, your redshirt junior middle blocker, but she has a pretty great recovery story and a journey back to the lineup. Can you share that with our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, so, Tatiana and I go back. And so when I was at Portland State, we actually were looking at her. And so I knew her and her mom for a while. And the ironic part is that when I was at Portland State recruiting someone from CSUN in the transfer portal, during that visit, she said that someone on her team had broken her leg. And so it was Tatiana, and she came back. That must have been, 7 months. And then she came back and she started every single match for us. And not only did she start every match, she was a great leader. And she also graduated early this year. So she just this past spring graduated early, went to her graduation, got to see her and her family and celebrate her. She has 2 more years of eligibility, and she's going to pursue her master's. And she is crushing it. I couldn't even name all the honor rolls and presidential roles that she's on academically, but to go through an injury like that, which I had a season-ending injury as a player as well, is really tough. For her to do that, still lead this team when a new coach is coming in, and graduate early, and then immediately hit the ground running to start her master's. I'm commonly, singing her praises and saying that this is one of the leaders and faces of our program right now.
That's a fantastic story. Love seeing those success stories in any program. That's a great celebration for sure. With the rest of the team, obviously you've got a lot of girls coming back, but what, if any, new faces could we see competing for positions for the Matadors?
Yeah, I think all of them really do have a good chance. I think Sanaya, that libero, we used one of our seniors, Layla Cedarland, in every single spot in the back row and as a serving specialist. So I have no doubt that I will look to explore that. A face that is, I'm technically calling her a returner, but I think that, I don't want to give out any clues about what we'll be doing, but Haley Ogden, who transferred from Gonzaga, was one of their better players on that roster last year, statistically in a couple of categories as a middle blocker. She came to us in the spring. So I'm kind of counting her as a returner because she knows everything that we do. She worked with us the whole entire spring, and the other 14 returners that are on this roster. But Layla Moore, freshman middle blocker, I expect to, be used throughout the season. And then Reagan Richardson, who's a big physical outside, that's just as good in the back row as she is in the front row. So we're really excited about the depth that we've built. We feel like we have more options now in our gym. And now that everyone kind of understands the system, it is, we have more depth and experience. So really excited for the upcoming year.
Well, you just talked about being excited for the upcoming year. That's the next question. What are you excited most about the upcoming 2025 season?
I think, ability to be with them in circumstances that we've experienced already, right? I think sometimes, I have experience as a coach and they have experience as players, but we hadn't worked together in those atmospheres yet. And now we've done it before, so they know what to expect. They know what to expect from me, maybe even the rhythm of like a timeout or how that operates, instead of being in that moment and feeling the pressure of the score and trying to comprehend how I operate and what I really need. So I think we had the talent last year. Now we have the experience. We've competed with each other. It's just this cognitive unit. And I'm so excited to hit the ground running with them, because we felt like there was some unfinished business left out on the floor. And you might not think that even if you looked at the set scores, but like the total sets, right? But if you looked at those scores and you watched us, like, we were competitive. And I think, we talk about winning here and how that is important to us. Like, we're ready to take that next step. Now, it's not guaranteed just because we have all these returners. We know that there's some work ahead. I know that they're just so hungry. And sometimes I feel like the most dangerous teams are the ones that understand they can't slack off, because they have had heartbreaking losses like we did last year. But I feel like we had some really, really impressive wins as well. So they know that it's in them, and they understand that even these practices, I haven't really had to get on them about effort yet. It's bound to happen during double days for a whole month. I realize that. I'm going to knock on wood right now. So my practice for today doesn't have that. But they are super dialed in, and they understand the mission and what we're doing here and what we mean to this community in Northridge. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, 3 great factors in your favor: young, competitive, and now add-on experience.
Yes.
As a coach, it has to be something you look forward to, because it helps the gym and get some continuity, as well as even just the ability to execute what it is, the game plan and your strategy, right?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things that we do differently than other programs. And so I think having that year under their belt and understanding what we want is super important. We don't do a bunch of stuff that just completely invents the wheel, but there are some unique things that I think people could say, like, oh, they do it a little bit differently there. And it's really important that our players kind of are on that same page. And, I'm just really excited to see how they just come together in this moment. It feels like we didn't even skip a beat. And a lot of the things I found myself kind of saying, well, we have this issue and, and these little things we need to fix. And I'm reflecting on spring like it was just the other day. And it's not because I have short-term memory loss. It's because it just feels like we were just with each other, and we had camp and summer camp, and they did a good job working that and playing. But, it just feels so cohesive right now. And I've been a part of some really, really good teams. And this one, I'm just ecstatic about what's going on in the gym, at least, player to player. Those interactions are just really wholesome. And I think that does matter a lot.
Wow. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this about the rest of the Big West. Obviously, the direction of the Big West is they're expanding. They're adding on Sacramento State, CBU, and Utah Valley. Want to get your thoughts on the growth of Big West women's volleyball?
Yeah, it's I think it's really exciting, and I think I played against Sacramento State a lot when I was at Portland State. Ruben does a fantastic job. I actually, I consider him kind of one of my mentors. I talk to him, pretty frequently. That's a tough place to play. And then, Cal Baptist has some history, and, Utah Valley, did really good things in the WAC. So when we looked at the losses, right, where they're bound to come, not this year, but the following year in Hawaii and Davis, they're big losses. But when you look at the additions that we had, added 3 to get to 12, which is great. But teams that have been historically competitive within the volleyball world. And so that's what I really like, is that they're close and convenient. So that's really good for our student athletes. So we talked about it's one of the advantages of the Big West. You get really good ball and convenience of kind of travel. But also we're adding really good teams. They're not just fillers. And with what's going on with a lot of the conference realignment, you're seeing sometimes where it's like, oh, we just need someone to fill for a schedule. And I thought that with these circumstances, I couldn't have asked for better pickups at this time. We get to expand into Utah, which is a huge volleyball community with a lot of talent. That's going to help us on the recruiting end, but also the fan base is going to be great out there. And then obviously we don't really lose the Northern California connection because, you lose Davis, you get Sac State. And then, I think it makes it probably easier for UC Riverside to get Cal Baptist. They're, a walk practically just across that city. So it stays with everything that the Big West, I think, is going for. I understand it's not purely just about volleyball. Selfishly, I love what they did as it means for, the alignment for volleyball.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah.
Two final questions for you.
Okay.
What do you think we can see competition-wise in the Big West in 2025?
Man, I think it's going to be a crapshoot. Like you're going to have a lot of unknowns. I think players kind of come out of nowhere. A lot of teams have lost, some of the top. They've lost some good experience that has made them historically great. And so you just know that those teams recruit good players, whether it's in the transfer portal or out of high school. So there's going to be some like new faces that are going to represent this conference, or there might be some, younger teams kind of like us last year that start to, hopefully take that step up because of some experience. So I think it's going to be madness. We saw some upsets last year, but I think you'll probably see double of those kind of eye-opening like wows. There were some last year where after our matches, we were all looking at our phone and, on the bus, everyone's looking around like, there's no way that happened, right? I think there's going to be a lot of that this year. And it doesn't mean that the top is getting worse. I mean, I think everyone is just getting better and more competitive. We got so many good coaches here that do a really good job. And those players that really love playing here, I think it just helps a ton. So I think it's every match to me, like, not that we gamble or anything, but like, it's going to be hard to say I think they're going to win because you can see it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is a good segue into the final question, and it's the one that the coaches seem to like to avoid, but I got to throw it out there.
Yeah.
What is your Big West only the bold prediction this year in the Big West?
I think we're going to see whether it's the NCAA tournament or the NIVC tournament, which is a great tournament. When I was at Portland State, we played it twice. Had awesome experience for our players that keep playing do or die volleyball at the national stage. I think you're going to see 3 or more teams represented within those two. I really do think that we have some really good teams at the top. That can, maybe we can sneak in another team like we did 2 years ago into the tournament, maybe send 2 to the NCAA tournament. But if not, because there's so many new faces and it seems pretty youthful in the conference, I think a lot of coaches are going to say, hey, we get that shot at the NIVC, that's going to be a good opportunity to develop that kind of do or die mentality for even the following year. And so seeing more teams kind of step up and play in the NIVC tournament. And I'm hopeful for that. I want everyone to do that. I know we're going to do everything in our power if we get the opportunity to play in a postseason tournament to do it. But I think there's enough talent in this conference. You're going to start seeing the Big West represented even after the Big West conference championship. You're going to see us playing in the NCAA tournament and the NIVC, and hopefully, making some big moves.
There you go. There's head coach Aquiles Montoya's only the bold prediction. Aquiles, always appreciate the time with you. Always great conversation.
Thanks so much for the time, and go Matadors.